Hello and welcome to your daily cup of football with the highest production value you will find in the podcast world. My name is David Wilson. As you can see, if you're watching, if you're listening, you won't know yet, but we have some guests.
Surprise.
Shh, James, be quiet.
What?
They didn't even know you were here.
Who?
You.
Oh, I'm here.
That was one of the surprises. James showed
Okay,
up.
I'm still here in the
James
corner of my
is
bedroom.
here. Also with us, previous guest Christian Manukian, live from a rose bush. I'm not sure where that is. It's a lovely
At
black
ABC
background.
headquarters.
It is
Descanso Gardens.
And our Reno correspondent,
Yeah.
Samuel Doctorian,
Not at
is
work
joining
this
us.
time.
Not at work, so he has time. I like though you sneaking around on Zoom during work. It was kind of exciting.
Ooh, add a little bit of excitement.
Some danger, yeah. We're not. I said at the end of the last podcast, we'll see you tomorrow, forgetting that it was Thursday and
I
that the
was
next
upset.
day was
We
Friday.
got tons of emails,
I
people
was
saying,
sad.
"Oh my gosh, how could you say that? You're so dumb." Oh wait.
We got one email, but it wasn't about that. It was a
Okay.
question for later on. We'll save that for the end
Okay.
because it's a juicy one, and James is gonna get on his lawn and start yelling at people. Mostly Colombia. But there were two. The knockout stages for the Euro started today. There were two games. Both teams who we expected to go through went through. But I don't think either game went exactly as we thought they would go. Is that fair, James?
Sure.
You were saying it might be close for one team and the other team might go through easily. I would say it's switched. One team went through easier than we thought. The other team had to work a little
Look,
harder.
all I'm hearing is that I was right. That's is that. What
I don't
is that
think
what
you
you're
were the
saying?
only one who picked Italy and Denmark to go through.
No, I'm pretty sure
Spoiler alert.
that was a big reach right there. I don't think anyone was seeing that one coming.
So we'll start with the first game. Denmark played Wales in Amsterdam, but basically a home game for Denmark, which apparently Welsh people weren't even supposed to be allowed in the Netherlands, and somehow there were like 10 or 15, which was pretty impressive. John Champion was saying they snuck into the country, which was a little disturbing to think about. But anyway, hopefully they're able to get out of the country now. But Denmark had some changes in the lineup. Josef Poulsen was out with injury. Daniel Voss was out because of illness. They didn't really say what that illness was. But Kasper Dolberg was the star of the show in place of Poulsen. He scored a great goal to open the scoring outside of the box, curled it in, and then he followed that up in the 48th minute after could have been a foul on Kiefer Moore, who had a rough outing. He picked up a yellow that wasn't probably a yellow, and then got fouled, led to an attack. Wales don't clear it. It's 2-0. And the wheels kind of came off the bus at the end. Mala, the wingback, got his second goal. Braithwaite finally got a goal.
Braithwaite.
Denmark wins 4-0. They score 4 goals for a second straight game
Ah.
against a better opponent. So we'll start with our guests. I'll get to you last, James, because you got to talk at the beginning. But Samuel, Denmark, what do you think? Are they a favorite to make the semifinal? Because, one more thing, if you look at that side of their bracket, the strongest teams, Netherlands, England, Germany, those are the teams. The other side has Spain, France, Portugal, Belgium, Italy.
Oof.
So does Denmark have a shot at the semifinals from what you've seen so far and
I
today?
think they definitely do because I remember when I watched them play against Belgium, they look solid. I mean, I know they're playing with a lot of heart too, so it's awesome to see. So I think that's going to carry them really far. But I definitely think they're finally putting away their chances because in the first couple of games they created a lot of chances. They just didn't find a way to put it in the back of the net. But now they're clicking. They're figuring out, even without the normal lineup, they figured it all out. You got people contributing. You have Eriksen's replacement. I forgot his name, or not replacement, but the
Damsgaard.
person.
Damsgaard.
He's playing really well too. And so everyone's it just makes sense. Team chemistry is really high, and they're just riding on that that high. So I really think it's possible for them if they continue this play and not get a little bit complacent. I really think they can make it.
And for you, Christian, was this because Denmark, other than the Belgium game, haven't really had a tough opponent? I mean, we thought Wales might be tougher. Is this a case of Denmark being an impressive performance and putting away a team who, up to this point, had been pretty solid? They put 4 goals past them. Or is Denmark the real deal? This is their generation of, great players. Obviously, Eriksen would have been among them, but they still have a lot of talent, and it's finally coming together. Or at the next step, they're going to have a reality check?
Well, I think they are the real deal, and that's not to knock Wales. I thought Wales played decently, especially in the opening
Mhm.
20, 25 minutes. Wales had 8 shots in the opening 20 minutes. That's more than Denmark faced, I think, in all their group games combined. And they weathered the storm, and they kept their clean sheet intact. And then I think Kasper Dolberg scored the first Denmark goal before the 30-minute mark. So
Mhm.
they weathered the storm, which is not a given in the Euros or in any tournament. You know, when a team is peppering you with shots like that, a lot of times you're going to concede, and they had conceded a few goals in the group stage, but this time they held firm. And as Sam mentioned, the belief is there. The belief is 100% there. The confidence is there. They're finally starting to put away their chances, which they hadn't done during the group stage, and they look very, very convincing. And I would be very worried about facing Denmark in the quarterfinal, and then I do think they will make the semifinal.
Yeah. And James, they're not going to go to Copenhagen in the quarterfinal.
No.
I believe they're going to Baku, I
Oh,
think, which
Ew.
won't be a home field advantage. Maybe I'm not sure what the rules are about Danish people going to. By the way, they were also saying they had 12 hours to get out of the Netherlands. So hopefully the buses were fast and got across the border. I'm not sure what the result would have been if they did not escape. John Champion
Nothing.
did not
Nothing.
give
The
that
answer
out.
was nothing.
I mean, Netherlands is a nice place. I mean, they're
They
not
would have
mean,
shot
right?
them. They would have
No, I
taken
mean,
them off the buses.
Wow.
it was Ajax
Lined them up
Stadium.
against the beach.
It was
beaches.
where Eriksson used to play, where Dolberg used to play. It was his home stadium. He looked comfortable. Now, James, maybe I'm jumping ahead here, but it looks like Netherlands is probably going to go through past Czech Republic. We'll get to that later. But as someone whose Netherlands is near and dear to your heart, that the likely opponent for Denmark is the Netherlands in the next round. In that game, who would you say is the favorite? Obviously, Netherlands have played better. They had 9 points, but they might have had a weaker group. Is Denmark at that level now for you, that they're at that Netherlands? Because of all the considered favorites, I would say Netherlands is maybe, we would say, the weakest of those. But has Denmark done enough for you to go into that upper tier of European teams, or are we getting too into the emotion and Wales is just not a great team? They have a guy from Luton Town out there, and we should just pump the brakes on Denmark's really great.
Yeah, I think we need to pump the brakes a little bit. Let's not get crazy. I think Netherlands are still going to be favorites. That doesn't mean they're going to win, because momentum is a very real thing, and it can carry you far in a tournament that only lasts 7 games. All you have to do is win 7 games in a row, and you've not even 7.
Yeah,
They just have to win 4 games, round of 16, quarter.
Yeah.
4 games. That's it, and then you win this entire tournament. So I think it's a little too optimistic to say that Denmark's reached this upper echelons of European football. I mean, they've played well. I think the score flatters them in this game. 4-0 probably doesn't reflect the entire game. It reflects the last 5 minutes, definitely,
Mhm.
when Wales had just given up. Especially the 4th goal. I mean, it was that one was just added on. I think it was a 2-0 victory in my head, at least. So I don't know if we'd say that this was like a Spain-Slovakia sort of difference between the two of them. So they're a good team, and I think they're going to cause, if they do play Netherlands, they're going to cause them a lot of problems. And I think Netherlands are going to have trouble breaking down this pretty solid defense that Denmark has. But I think it'll come down to who can finish, because Denmark was good today. Is Netherlands going to finally find their accuracy? Depay's been kind of on and off. He's got lots of skill, but can he kick it in when it matters in the 85th minute? I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see Poulsen's status for the game. Simon Kjær came off. He's the captain and the leader, one of the leaders. I think that was precautionary. He should be fine, but that would be a big loss. Daniel Voss's replacement, I think he plays for, I think they said Udinese. He had a good game. I can't remember his name. But going just one more thing, we talked a lot about Kiefer Moore on the last podcast, the Cardiff City man. He had a tough one. The refereeing did not really. If you're Welsh, you're cursing the ref and you're saying the second goal should not have even happened because it led to a goal. Do you give that any of you could say anything right now? The first one to talk gets it. Anybody has a strong feeling whether they have any case there, or this was, even though the score maybe was flattering them, at the end it's 4-0, and so 1 or 2 calls probably don't tell the story. But you could, I guess, understand Wales being upset. But anybody have anything on Kiefer Moore's being fouled and then it leading? I mean, later on, and it was also terrible clearance from Nico Williams, but leading to a Danish goal.
I think you're taught to play until the whistle blows. Yeah, it was a foul. I was watching. I go, oh, that's a foul. I was waiting for him to call it, but he didn't. And you don't just stop. You keep going, and then even now you keep going. You think, okay, maybe if the VAR will come back and check it, which they did. Even though it's kind of like they said something how if it's that far into the play, they don't really check that far back. I think Mark Clattenburg was saying that. But I think it's an excuse. You can use it, but not good enough. You gotta play until the ref calls it, because that's when you stop.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you gotta do. And so they got complacent a little bit. Braithwaite just beat his man.
Yeah.
Crossed it in. Terrible clearance. Like that's also you can blame that too. That was awful clearance, right to Dolberg, and then he put it away. So I don't think there's an excuse there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where the phase of play kind of changed. Like they lost possession. Denmark had lost possession at that point because that pass was to no
Good
one.
point.
That pass was straight to that Welsh guy,
Good point.
and he gave it away. So I don't know. That's not really much you can say. Like, oh, it was part of the attack. Well, their attack had already broken down. So
True.
I don't think there's much there. Although it should have been called a foul, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen less be called for a foul, but I've also seen more not be called for fouls. I don't know. Was it a hands down? Like, oh my God, he cleated him. It should have been a foul. No, I don't think so.
I think
Also-
Taylor Twellman mentioned that because of Kiefer Moore's like height and stature, the ref might have been thinking, oh, he shouldn't have gone down that easy. He's a big guy, so he might have thought, maybe he just flopped a little bit or tried to sell it. But still, it's a foul, so it should have been called live, but it didn't.
I mean, that he was the victim of his height on his yellow card, which was not a yellow card.
Yeah,
he was
that was
on the way
bad.
down with his arms just kind of normal where they would be coming down. He just hits the Danish guy, and it's a yellow card. And also, Wales got another red card, which, I mean, the game was over, but it was not a red card, was it, Christian? I mean, I've seen stronger challenges on Saturdays and Wednesdays, indoor, or Tuesdays now, I guess, and everybody just plays on. I mean, this guy gets sent off. I thought that was, as someone who puts a foot in, I was a little disturbed by that. I agreed with Harry Wilson. Was it Harry Wilson? Wilson, perfect.
Yeah.
There you go.
They're Wilson. Yeah, I mean, Wales are the first team since Russia and Switzerland in 2004 to have 2 players sent off in a tournament. And
Wow.
this one was especially harsh, I think, like you said. I put in a stronger challenge this past week at indoor soccer. Nobody said anything. Nobody even blinked, to be honest. So luckily we don't have a ref to give me a red card.
True.
But still, I thought it was pretty harsh. And at that point, the game was beyond the reach of Wales, but it just rubbed salt in the wounds. And if I was a Wales fan, or if I was Welsh, I'd be pretty frustrated by that result. But you can't just say, oh, it was the red card that ruined it, because there was so much leading up to that red card that went against Wales. And ultimately, the red card was just the cherry on top of a miserable afternoon for them.
Yeah. I think, though, in the end, the better team went through in this case. And I think it's exciting that Denmark's into a quarterfinal. And it should mean an exciting game in the next round if who I think goes through. Even if your boy Patrick Schick, James,
Just wait.
pull
Wait
something
to see
out.
what he has in store.
Denmark's been involved in some pretty exciting games. They try to play, and it makes for exciting games. So we're going to go to the second game. Italy against Austria. This is the one that both me and James were like, okay, Austria, thanks for coming. It's been nice. You beat Macedonia. You beat Ukraine. Now just get ready to be knocked out by Italy. And Austria said, not so fast. You've been kind of bashing us this tournament. You picked Ukraine over us. Are you serious? Ukraine's a joke. And Austria almost did it. They were literally inches away from getting what would have probably been the winning goal in regular time. Marko Arnautovic, centimeters offside.
More than inches. Why is everybody talking like this?
It was close.
It was
It
his
was
whole
close.
foot. It was
Okay,
his
that's
whole
close.
Foot. No,
That's
it's not.
close.
Not anymore. That's
Okay.
not close anymore. I think we all
I
know
guess
that
yeah.
is not
I
close
guess
anymore.
anymore, yeah. But what,
When I
live,
saw
it-
the footage, I was like, he's half of his body is offside. What are
looking
we
at
doing?
live, it looked like he timed his run really well. But when you go back, it's yeah.
I mean, it was timed well, just not well enough.
So he was offside. He scored in the 65th minute, which the way it was going seemed like that would have been. I mean, Italy was in trouble at that point. They had not. They played, I would say, pretty well in the first half, not well in the second half, and Austria was taking it to them for most of the second half. And the goal wasn't, out of nowhere. The disallowed goal. It's chalked off. We go to overtime. In overtime, it seemed like Austria kind of was running out of gas there. Italy still not, as played as well as we've seen them in this tournament, obviously. Two substitutes got the goals for them 10 minutes apart in the first half of extra time. Chiesa with a really great goal, actually, kind of made a run to the box, controlled it with his head, then kind of with his foot. Like he basically dribbled it like he dribbled a basketball with his foot getting onto his right foot, and he smashed it in. And then they put what seemed to be the put away. Pessina got a second goal in the tournament and the second goal in this game. They were just kind of in the box in a scrum, and it broke out to him, and he took it pretty well. But then Austria, which I think they deserved something from this game. I think going down 2-0 after everything they had put into it would have been harsh. And the absolute tower of a man, Sasha Kalajdzic, who came on for Arnautovic, I think he's the tallest player in the tournament, stooped as low as you could go and headed it in actually very smartly off a corner kick with 6 minutes left. They pushed at the end, Austria, but just didn't have enough. As much as I didn't want to want to praise Austria, they deserve praise because they pushed Italy to the brink, I think. Austria probably could not have played a better game. That was probably the best they could play, and it was almost enough. Italy, it's a warning shot. They brought back most of their starters. Verratti started after starting the last game. Immobile wasn't great, other than he almost scored a worldie when it went off the corner of the bar, but he was kind of wasteful. So I don't know how to feel about Italy. Are people going into the? I think, James, you picked them as your most impressive team, didn't you? Is that
After
the
the first 3 games, yeah.
Yeah. So now we'll start with you, James. Italy, they get through, which is the most important part. And then when you're in knockout stages, it's all about just winning. But if I'm looking at their next 2 opponents, it's either Belgium or Portugal. And if I'm one of those 2 teams, I'm looking at this game and I'm saying, okay, maybe Italy's not as formidable as we thought. Specifically, Belgium is looking at this and saying, we could do some damage here. So where are you at with Italy after this 120 minutes?
I think this is. I don't think this is really the worst thing that could possibly happen to them, honestly.
I mean, they went
because
through.
they won the game. They won the game, and it wasn't easy. And I think that might just be a good thing for them, because now I think they went into this game kind of casually. Maybe they thought, oh, we'll just kind of waltz through this and win, and it didn't really go their way. And I think most importantly, they broke that whole not conceding thing. I think it's really good that they got that out of the way now and not in their next game, because that's only going to build pressure, I think. I think now that's gone. Now you can just focus on winning the game, and you don't have to go, oh my God, we conceded. Oh no. Oh gosh. So I think this game may, if they go on to past this next round, then this game will have been a wake-up call for them. Like, okay, we need to step it up. We need to play better. We can't just count on the fact that we haven't conceded for so long as our defensive tactic. Or maybe it's just a sign that they're not that good and they're just going to get knocked out in the next round. And I'm not sure which, to be honest.
Well, Christian,
I'd like to think they'll be better off.
Which one is it, Christian? Is this steeled them for the next round and it's okay, now we'll be ready? They were missing Chiellini, who in the center of their defense, Bonucci and Serbi were back there. I'm not sure if Chiellini will be back, but they're going to be playing a team in the next round, whoever it is, who's probably more dangerous going forward than Austria was. And Austria created 1 goal disallowed and then a second goal, but were also pretty dangerous. How are you feeling about Italy coming into this? Because we haven't heard how, your take on Italy, but after this, are you worried about it, or they needed to go through this because they have a lot of kind of guys who are new to the international major tournament?
Well, listening to guys, your podcasts leading up to this. Yeah, the teams in Italy's group were shady at best. Turkey and Switzerland. James, I know how you feel about Switzerland. So I know Italy beat them both, and we're like, wow, 3 goals each. That's pretty impressive. No other team looked that dominant. But I think it's starting to look as if maybe it wasn't that Italy was so good. It was that the teams that they played were so bad. Not to say that Italy are bad. I still think they're very impressive, and the ability to grind out a win against a team that was – I was very impressed by Austria, especially because I hadn't watched too much of them during the tournament. And Ian Dark was on the call for this game, and he early on, when it was clear that Austria wasn't just going to sit back and let Italy attack, they were going to attack as well. You know, Ian Dark's like, they're going to go toe to toe with the Italians, and they're not going to die wondering tonight. I was like, oh, that's a classic Ian Dark line, and they didn't. You know, they really tested Italy. I think they found possibly a weakness that Belgium or Portugal is looking at and saying, balls over the top. Italy seemed to struggle with balls over the top today. They had balls going to the wings, and they were able to cross the ball in several times, almost to good effect, you know, with Arnautovic. And I think Italy, it did steal them. James made a good point about the conceding that goal. They don't have that hovering over them, but we haven't conceded in, I think it was like over 1,100 minutes, which is a crazy stat. They hadn't conceded a single goal since October 2020, which is just amazing. But now that that's gone, they can kind of play without pressure. Their defense can say, okay, we conceded a goal, we still won, and let's just look forward to the next game. Because whoever they play, Portugal or Belgium, you're either going to get Ronaldo and company, or you're going to get Lukaku, De Bruyne, and all these other talented Belgians, both of whom are going to be a much more difficult team than Austria was. So I'd say it's overall positive for Italy that they won in this manner, but I wouldn't be concerned if I was the team on the other end, like, oh, we're going to come up against Italy. I'd be feeling pretty confident.
Now, Sam, I know you were not able to watch this whole game, but just in general with Italy, they did lose their goal or their clean sheet record, but they also now are still 31 matches unbeaten, which I think is a record they set. It seems like it's going to be tough to knock them out, even if they didn't play well today. Like, even as they were playing poorly, it's not like they gave up a lot of goals. They also have, and we were reminded of that today, Donnarumma in goal, who's actually, he hasn't been tested up to this point, but he's actually, a top goalkeeper. He made a couple good saves. So for Italy, Sam, what do you think? Are they in the more Netherlands, Denmark range, or are they France, Belgium? I'm excited for the next round because I think that's what we're going to see, but what's your sense of it?
They're in the middle of those two.
Okay. There you go. Good answer.
Yeah, because I think they're better than Netherlands and Denmark, but they're not as good as Belgium and France.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Belgium's they're too strong. I think they're even better than Portugal, I would say. They're more well-rounded, I think, even though they don't have a Ronaldo like that stature. But I think Italy is a little bit better built of a team than Portugal is. So I think they're better than Portugal.
Okay.
But yeah, I would say they're in the middle of those two, like a little meatball sandwich, Italian. But yeah, I would say they're right in that middle tier.
I think that's fair. So we'll go out of order tomorrow with tomorrow's game, since you brought up, we were talking about Belgium and Portugal, because one of those teams is going to play Italy. And that game tomorrow, I believe, looks like it's going to be in Seville, according to my sources. They might have changed it, I'm not sure. But that's obviously maybe the best game of the round of 16, depending on how you feel about England, Germany. But Portugal, Belgium. Portugal, the defending European champs. Belgium, every tournament is like, is this the one where they become the European champ or the world champ? They have the talent. They've looked maybe the best team so far. They, I think, are the most talented with France. Portugal also has talent, but they've looked a little shaky in the last 2 games, giving up goals. Their defense hasn't been great, and that was kind of their calling card 4 years ago. If Ronaldo gets a penalty, that's great because he'll score it.
Ronaldo.
Pinaldo, yes, top scorer of the tournament. But I'm excited for this because I think Belgium could win, but could do so in style because Germany scored goals on Portugal. France did. Belgium
Yeah.
has much talent, more talent in the attack than Germany, I think. And if Belgium is solid, I think this could be a rough day for Portugal, in my opinion. I think Kevin De Bruyne's looking sharp. Lukaku's scoring goals. Hazard hasn't even really been Hazard for a while. If he shows up, I don't know what they're going to do. Nelson Semedo and Rafael Guerrero haven't looked great on the wings. I expect Belgium to win, and I would not be surprised if they lay down a little bit of a statement here that, okay, Portugal, you're the defending European champs, but you kind of snuck into that, and we have more talent than you, and we're gonna handle your Pinaldo. We're not gonna give away any silly things. That's my take. Maybe I'm being a little too gung-ho, and I kind of also just want Belgium to play well, and I'm kind of Portugal. All right, you had your sneaking through to a tournament win. Am I being too harsh on Portugal and pumping up Belgium too much, Christian, with my analysis, or what's your sense on this game?
No, I think you're perfectly on point. I think Belgium have never got out of first gear in the group stage. They were never tested. The most they were tested, as James pointed out, was against Denmark, who played amazingly against them. And they still won that game. That was the only time where they said, all right, time to flex the muscle a little bit. Lukaku did De Bruyne showed up with some brilliant, moves and they won that game. I think if Belgium is going to be tested, it'll be against Italy, because I think they will beat Portugal, and I think they'll probably score a few goals. Lukaku is just in unbelievable form. Like I said, none of these players have had to get out of first gear yet. Finland and Russia were not a test for Belgium. I know they only won 2-0 and they beat Russia by a few goals, but they've scored multiple goals in every single game they've played so far. I don't think that streak ends tomorrow.
And Sam, for you, are you at all worried though that Portugal, they've done this before. They seem to be the team that's not as strong, but they kind of find a way through. And Belgium has been the one, I'm thinking back to the World Cup, where they beat Brazil and then they played France and kind of should have maybe won that game, had the ball, but just a more pragmatic team was able to knock them out. You can't really say Belgium doesn't have experience at tournaments because they've been in the knockout stages of the last 3 major tournaments. But are you concerned, though, that Portugal's going to just do what Portugal has done in recent tournaments where they just kind of grind out a win? Or is this too much for Portugal in this tournament? Belgium's just too much. I think you're muted.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
I think that's a good question because France could have, really laid the law on Portugal, but it was a 2-2 draw. You never know what can happen. A couple penalties here and there, some scrappy fouls, and Portugal's in the game. But I think Belgium is just they're just too strong. There's too many weapons. That Portugal back line, it's so shaky, at least in the last few games. They're just not strong back there. I would think Ruben Diaz, too, back there, they would be pretty solid, but him and Pepe I don't know, they're just not clicking and just something's wrong back in the back. So I'd be very worried. You got Lukaku up there and De Bruyne and Hazard, and there's just too much to handle for them. So I think they're going to be playing like sit-back style and then counter with Ronaldo and Renato Sanchez and a couple other people and try to counter and catch them off guard, but Belgium's too strong.
Well, they're missing.
Go ahead.
They're missing João Cancelo, which I think is a huge loss for Portugal. Is one of their fullbacks? I think Nelson Semedo is covering for him, and with all due respect to Nelson Semedo, he is the worst defender on that Portugal team, and he has been consistently exploited through the group stage. And I think Belgium are looking at him and rubbing their hands together, because even dating back to the Champions League game where he was still playing for Barcelona against Bayern Munich, and Bayern Munich beat Barcelona 8-2. Alphonso Davies was like destroying him time after time, and he hasn't gotten better. I mean, it's really bad, and I think he could be a big liability tomorrow. And Cancelo is going to be really missed. He's out with COVID.
Mm-hmm. Now, James, first of all, if you want to defend your Wolves comrade, you can do that. And then also, when we're all saying the same thing about a game, I'm worried, first of all. And also, it always sometimes when we want something to happen, when we want the good team to go through, someone comes in and spoils the punch. I feel like Portugal would be the candidate for that. I just haven't seen it in this tournament. Did we get our happy moment with Denmark and now everything else is going to be, no, Portugal's just going to do it. It's going to get a penalty and be quiet with your Belgium. Belgium's just going to do what Belgium does, which is not make finals. But first, if you want to defend Nelson Semedo or any other Wolves players,
Look.
who are all
First of all,
Wolves-
I do not understand
Here we go.
why we are going to single out one player that lost from a game that finished. How many goals did they score? 8. 8.
Wait,
in one game.
that game. Oh,
That
okay.
game.
I didn't say
They
anything.
scored 8 goals. Okay, that is not one player's fault. As much as people like to just, it's all him. This is indicative of his entire career.
James, would you swap Alphonso Davies for Nelson Semedo right now for Wolves?
Yeah, sure. I mean, they play
Okay.
different positions, but yeah, that
He could
means
play
nothing.
Nelson Semedo's position.
Okay. What is that supposed to mean? I trade
don't know.
every single Bayern player for every single player I have now. What do you mean?
True. Okay.
He's I'm not going to sit here and say that he's like the Maldini of fullbacks, but the idea that he's some unique liability that the rest of the backline is so much better, I think that's ridiculous. I think Pepe's listening to that and is like, really? I'm 38. You're saying that about this guy? Like, get out of here. I mean, he's not. Again, he's not amazing. He's not incredible. Cancelo's better, but I don't think he's any more of a liability than anybody else they have back there. And I think their backline has looked shaky. But I don't know. I just get this sickening feeling. My gut is speaking to me again. It's telling me that this is not going to be straightforward. It's not going to be this nice 3-0, 4-0 victory from Belgium with a swashbuckling and you're olaying and 65 minutes in. I mean, I still do think Belgium is going to win.
There we go. Finally, we've been waiting, even though we haven't told anybody. James has been trying to find his stash of flags. For you not watching, I'm sorry. This is why you should watch, because James is holding up a flag that he made last week. No, I'm just kidding. It was about, I don't know,
6. Probably
6.
6.
Good handwriting, to be honest.
Yeah.
What's
And
on
it's
the back?
spelled right, I think.
Better than mine.
Brazil.
He
That
did
look
not
just like
waste.
Brazil?
He didn't waste cards. He used both sides.
Is it laminated?
Yes, it was laminated to preserve.
Wow.
And look, there's a little bit of a
Oh,
There
wait.
you go.
because these are all
Glendale,
cards.
Armenian Church of the Nazarene.
Yeah.
Sunday
Glendale
morning
High,
church.
Nazareth Cigarettes.
Free sponsor.
So, anyways, these are the cards. So I found
Belgium.
We have Belgium.
Sunday morning service.
I still want to hold out hope that I think it's going to be closer than we think it's going to be.
Yeah,
I think
probably.
Portugal is going to cause problems because Ronaldo just attracts issues. I think they're going to get a penalty kick. He's going to score a penalty kick. I would be surprised if well, maybe not. Surprised is probably too strong a word. But if Ronaldo doesn't score, I'd feel somewhere between surprised and not surprised. Somewhere in there.
How about this? Portugal, I think, took the lead in the last 2 games and then ended up not getting the win. Do you see something like that where, because they haven't had to come back yet. Belgium came back. Portugal, got the late goals against Hungary, had to come back or blew the lead to Germany. And then against France, we're kind of pegged back and then we're losing. And then I guess in that sense they came back. But you think it's going to be multiple goals, James, or
I think it's going to be a
guys?
few goals. I don't think it's going to be very many. I think the worst thing that Portugal could do is score first. I think that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Well, not the worst, but you know what I mean. But because I just think then they're going to be like, okay, we're winning 1-0. We have to just defend this, and then they're just going to invite pressure. And then once they concede inevitably, because they will, they're going to be like, oh, great. And then they're going to get blown out. So I think for Portugal, they're going to keep it at 0 until like 85th minute. Then you have Semedo, who can dive probably, or Bernardo Silva could just fall down in the box, get a penalty, Pinaldo slots it home, and then you're through. There you go.
Yeah. So Christian and Samuel, just one-word answers. Does Ronaldo score in this game? Sam?
No.
Ooh.
Christian?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Here we go. And James says yes.
Why not? Penalties, man. They get penalties.
I'm
Hasn't
going to go to the
scored
casino
one-
tonight and put money on
one
this.
good goal yet, but he's scored 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
I think what should happen is Bruno Fernandes, if he does play or start, because he didn't start the last game, because he didn't look that great against against Germany or really against Hungary. What he should do is, as he's on the field with his Portugal shirt on, as he's running toward the box, he should rip it off and have his Man U jersey underneath and just fall down. And because that he's good at getting penalties.
Hits him every time. The ref
Yeah,
just like,
so-
man, you.
Yeah, he should do that. Semedo should not take off his and have the Wolves underneath. But
That wouldn't help.
and
That would-
Patricio should definitely not in the back and in goal.
Patricio's.
Portugal
what are you
fans
talking
should
about? Wait,
Portugal fans should
hold
not
on,
look at the
hold on, hold on,
No,
hold on.
wait. I'll
What's going
finish,
on
then you
here?
defend them. Portugal
What's going
fans
on
should
here?
not look at the Premier League table from last year. That's all I'm going to say. Not a great sign. Their starting goalkeeper, they started Moutinho, Semedo, Neves.
They're playing a different system with different players. We don't have Ronaldo on our team. What is going on here? Patricio has done exactly what I expected. Like his great save against France, I expected him to save it. He's weak at the near post, which was he showed against Hungary, that goal that was called back.
Yeah.
That was fired at the near post. That's where he's weak. No different than when he's playing for Wolves. So he's the same player. I don't
All
know
right.
why Neves gets on the field.
I don't think he really does. I don't think he.
He was there. I think
He's on the
came on.
bench. He's
he
on the
came
bench.
on against France.
Oh, he did.
The
Okay.
ball once. I saw him kick the ball.
Well, we'll see if he gets on in this one. We're gonna move on to the actual first game tomorrow,
Oh, yeah.
which is another team that James. I think we all kind of maybe have a soft spot for Netherlands. The Orange, James. They played Czech Republic, who did not do what James wanted and laid down kind of against – not laid down, but they lost to England. They lost 1-0.
Only
Patrick
one.
Schick did not score a world-class, halfway line goal. Netherlands has done everything that they've been asked to do, which is just win. Everyone's whining about the lineup. Even I am having to praise Frank de Boer, which I like it more when I get to make fun of him because I think it's funny. He's done nothing but win, and they've looked pretty strong apart from 15 minutes against Ukraine. Czech Republic, I don't really see it in this game. I mean, okay, they beat Scotland, took a halfway line goal and a good header, and it's Scotland. They tied Croatia, who, I don't know how I feel about that, and they lost to England, who is better than them. I think Netherlands is better than them, and Netherlands has played some of the most attacking, proactive soccer in this tournament. I think they're going to score multiple goals. I don't think Czech Republic can score multiple goals. And that's my way of saying Netherlands goes through. Even if they concede, I think Netherlands, although you're saying, James, Depay has been maybe not as clinical as the Netherlands would have wanted, but they found a way to score goals. Even Wijnaldum has scored a lot of goals from midfield for Netherlands in this tournament. I think he's their top scorer, I believe. I think he has 3.
Not
Depay,
Denzel Dumfries?
Denzel Dumfries is my personal favorite player. He has, I think, 2. Yeah, watch out for. I don't think Czech Republic has an answer for Denzel. That's going to be the difference right there. I think Netherlands is going to stick with their lineup. No looking in the sky for tactical advice from the fans, and I think they're going to win. And they might concede a goal here or there, but I don't think Czech Republic has enough to really threaten them. Other than Patrick Schick, who I think Netherlands will be able to handle. Samuel, do you have anything that I said that you do not agree with in that breakdown of the matchup? Should Netherlands be worried?
You said it beautifully.
Thank you.
That was great.
That's it. You know.
I don't know. Yeah, that's it. I think it's gonna be. Can I give a score prediction, or is that
Oh,
later?
of course.
I think
yeah.
it's gonna be Czech Republic will take the lead early,
Wow.
unexpectedly, within the first 5 minutes,
Okay.
and then
Wow.
Netherlands will crawl their way back and win. 3-1.
Schick's gonna kick it from the kickoff. He's just
Free
gonna
kick,
kick
free
it into
kick,
the
free
goal.
kick.
Oh, free kick.
Yeah.
Free kick. Our first free kick. goal?
Stecklenburg's getting up there. He might not be able to track back and keep that
Oh.
out.
What happened to Sillison? Wasn't that the last?
I think he's injured. I think he's injured. Yeah.
okay.
They have Sillison and Krul, and
Krul.
both of those guys were
If
not
there's
available.
a penalty shootout, Cruel will be something.
Cruel.
Stecklenburg is still holding it down back there somehow. I'm not exactly sure, but I think for the neutral, if Czech Republic scores first, it's a better game because then Netherlands really has to go for it. If Netherlands scores first, which I feel like they will, I feel like the Czech Republic goal might be consolation. But I don't know. Christian, are Netherlands at some point here going to be found out? Is Frank de Boer going to revert back to his most recent, managerial trends, which are disappointing and leaving people wanting more, or are they going to keep rolling and will be tested in the next round?
No, I think they'll be tested in the next round, but I think the key is De Ligt, their big center defender. I think he's their captain. He was out for the first game, and consequently, they almost had an epic meltdown against Ukraine.
Yeah.
Came back for the final 2 group games, and they kept clean sheets both games. I think those events, there's a correlation, and I think that if he's there as a calm, settling presence, every good team is anchored around an incredible center defender, and he's had a mixed season for Juventus. He had some injuries, but for the Netherlands, he's played pretty well, and forget it just about him. They have Dumfries, who is he has got a cool name, and he's a good wing back. His name's Denzel,
I
what
know.
a cool Denzel Washington.
It's a great name, and he's a great wing back.
He's
And a great man.
We've got Man United reject Memphis Depay up top, who's actually suddenly proving to Man U that maybe he should have never
It
gone.
was the best thing that ever happened to him. Just leaving.
I'm going to Barcelona now, so
Yeah.
he kind of had.
Is
the
that
last
is that an
there.
upgrade? I'm not sure if that's an upgrade. Barcelona.
Well,
From Lyon? He was at Lyonnais, right?
Yeah,
That's an upgrade.
Okay,
Lyon won the
hardly.
league, didn't
No,
but
Leo did.
I think
they? Oh, okay. Confused.
Frankie De Jong and Wijnaldum are a great midfield pairing as well. Wijnaldum was their top scorer in qualifying, and he's their top scorer at the Euros. So he always has this knack of like ghosting into the box late and like cleaning up these moves. All 3 of his goals, I think, were like he's just the sweeper, the garbage disposal guy that he comes in and there it is. It's a spill from the goalkeeper. He's there. So I don't think Czech Republic is that good, barring that one amazing goal. I know 3 players on the Czech Republic team, and none of them are fantastic. So,
James, I know you think that Netherlands is going to go through. So I'm just going to ask you, like the Denmark situation, where they're on the easier side of the bracket. If you're Netherlands, you're looking at it and saying, we might be young and we might be aiming for the next World Cup to be our, where we really go for it. But they have a chance of making the final here. They got a good draw. They got Czech Republic, then Denmark. They're looking at down there at Germany and England and saying those 2 aren't, Germany's not the Germany of old. England is still England, even if they're playing well. Netherlands, I know we're jumping out of here, James, but semifinal?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Final?
I don't know. I don't even. Yeah, I don't want to predict that far.
Are you worried about tomorrow at all?
I think you should always be a little worried. I think if you're going into a knockout round and you think you're going to win, that's not good. That's not good. I don't think that's going to serve you well. I think there's always going to be a worry because it's a one-off game. Anything can happen. Something like a crazy red card could just throw the whole game out of whack. But I do think Netherlands is going to win.
There we go.
I don't know. I hope it'll be an exciting game. I know that for sure. I don't think Netherlands are just gonna. They've shown that they're gonna play well and it's gonna be fun to watch. As for how much they win by in the end, I don't know. It could be. I could see it being close. I could also see them scoring like 2 goals early and then just kind of winning like 3 or 4-0. I mean, I could see that happening. I could also see it being close. I don't know. It depends on which version of the Czech Republic shows up. So.
One more note on Netherlands. We didn't really mention this with Italy, but that game, Italy's game, was being played in London. They played the previous 3 games at home in Rome. Netherlands played all 3 of their group games in Amsterdam. Now they're going on the road, in a sense, to Budapest to play this game. So I don't know if that contributed at all to Italy being a little not as good. We'll
Shouldn't
see
have.
what it does for Netherlands.
Hopefully the
wait,
fans
they're
show
playing-
up in the right city.
What?
Hopefully the fans show up in the right city.
I mean, hopefully they know. I mean,
Why would they go to the wrong city?
Did you hear
Yeah.
about there's the France fans that when they played who they played? They played some team, but they went to Bucharest instead of Budapest.
Oh, you
no.
know.
Oops.
There's actually games. There were games being played in Bucharest, just not for France.
Budapest is the one that gets 100%, right?
Yeah.
Wait,
And
so that means there's probably gonna be more Dutch fans there than any other Dutch
well,
game.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
They
I
filled
didn't-
it up. They
suppose-
filled it up for France, Germany.
I didn't
and
know
the
that
Dutch are
Welsh
very passionate
people
about their
couldn't
game.
get into Denmark, so I don't know about Netherlands
Yeah,
getting
but
into
that's
Hungary.
about Brexit.
I know.
So Netherlands is part of the EU still for now.
For now,
And so I think their fans will show up and fill out that. It'll be a wall of orange. Probably.
we'll see. The Czechs might have something to say about it. But we'll see tomorrow. That game's at 9 a.m. Pacific, and then on ESPN, I believe, and then Belgium, Portugal is noon Pacific on ABC. ABC. We have an ABC
Christian will
family.
be covering
person.
the game. He'll be on
No,
the.
I mean, he'll be on the
Sideline.
call. He'll be on the yeah. So those are the two games tomorrow for the Euros. I like that there's two. That's good, and you don't have to get up at 6 a.m. So it's been exciting. We'll see how today. I mean, we haven't had a true upset in this tournament, I don't think. And tomorrow we might, but we'll see if that'll come. But we're gonna go now. I guess we'll briefly talk about Peru before we get to the question, which is Copa America related. Peru plays tomorrow.
What is there to say?
I mean, they're playing
Nothing.
tomorrow.
They're playing El Vino Tinto.
They're playing Venezuela, who, I mean, they've been COVID stricken.
Socialism stricken.
No, that doesn't mean the socialism hasn't had as much negative effect as the COVID on their
sure?
team. I mean, no, I'm not sure, but I'm in the recent term. Not, we can go into the history of Venezuelan football on another podcast. Yeah, like we said before, Peru should beat Venezuela. Peru just basically needs a tie to confirm their place. If they tie, they'd be second in the group, and all my negativity will have been just
Still be there. It'll still be there.
We'll still be there, kind
not
of.
going
We'll see how
anywhere.
it goes. I know you guys haven't really watched Peru at all, which I can't blame you. I wouldn't if I
What is
had
there
nothing
to-
to do with
what
it.
is it?
I probably wouldn't watch either. But just give me a prediction. I just want a prediction. Peru, Venezuela, 2 p.m. tomorrow. FS2 on the big network. FS2. Christian.
3-1 Venezuela.
Oh no! Oh no!
Christian, I was
Okay.
just saying the same thing.
Wow.
3-1.
Well, no, I wasn't gonna say 3-1. I was saying 1-0.
Venezuela.
Venezuela.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I vote Peru 3, Venezuela 1.
Oh,
Okay.
I heard it
okay.
very differently. What does
Whew.
the cat think, Samuel?
Oh, let's ask.
What does Boone say?
Boone? Boone, what do you say? Come back.
That's how I feel about Peru. I just don't. I don't want to talk about it.
For you audio listeners, you're gonna have to watch the video.
You
to
missed
see what just
out.
happened.
That was bonus content right there.
Yep.
Really missed out.
Boone is.
Bonus. Wow, good stuff.
Thanks.
So 1-0 Venezuela. Okay. That still might be enough for Peru.
That could happen, actually.
It could happen.
could
I mean,
see that
yeah.
happening. 3 goals,
see.
Christian. That's a bit ambitious.
The floodgates open, James. La Padula.
La Padula,
He got
yeah.
1 goal.
Yoshimar Yotun,
Oh, yes, Yotun. As long as he's not one-on-one, it has to be outside the box.
Andre Carrillo.
Are you just Googling Peruvians and how to name
No,
them?
no, I'm saying who I remember from the World Cup.
That's the same guys. You haven't missed
Yeah,
it.
it's the same schmucks.
Yeah.
There's a new center forward you guys are saying?
Yeah,
Next game?
Gianluca Lapadula
Oh, okay.
from Benevento. I think the relegated Benevento.
Because they didn't start him enough. They didn't play him enough.
I don't know about that, James. Okay, before we get out of here, we got a question from a listener. My James and I's aunt, Angela from Oregon. She's a very loyal listener, and she also asks good questions that we then have to kind of think more about than we might have thought about them before. She was watching the Colombia-Brazil game, which I did not watch. I watched the highlights a few minutes ago just to get ready for this question. We mentioned briefly the controversy. If you're James, it's not controversy. Brazil was down 1-0. And if you didn't see the Colombian goal, Google it, first of all. It was
Oh,
a great
yeah.
bicycle kick to put them up 1-0. They could not hold on to the lead, however, as late on, Brazil equalized. Now, in the lead up to the goal, Brazil had the ball. They made a pass. It went off the referee, but then went to Brazil. So Brazil kept possession. Colombia kind of stopped, thinking that the ref would stop the game because there's a new kind of rule that the ref is, under certain circumstances, if the ball hits the ref, they're supposed to stop the game, and it's a drop ball for the team, or the team keeps possession who had the ball before. And this ref, by the way, I didn't know which ref it was. It's the pretty famous, James, you'll know this ref, the big buff balding center ref who ref seems like every game is this guy. So Colombia stops a little bit, and then the ball gets crossed in. Firmino scores. Brazil ends up winning late on. So her question, let me go to the question itself. So she says she feels bad for Colombia because they stopped playing. It seemed like they expected the ref to stop, and it almost seemed like the ref was going to stop and blow the whistle. He didn't, and it kept going. Now, the way it was described on the broadcast was that because the deflection was part of the attack for Brazil, it probably should have been called back. They did not. They VAR'd it. And, I mean, again, defend the cross. I mean, and then defend a corner kick 5 minutes later or 10 minutes, whatever it was, deep in stoppage time. So I don't know. Whoever saw it can give an opinion on it. But we'll start before James. We'll let James finish it because he's going to have a lot to say. But I think, Christian, do you want to address the incident and your take on the rule? I think the rule in general is a good rule that they've added, that because sometimes that used to not be the case. You would just play and the ref just hits them and he's like, sorry, and then it ruins an attack or starts one.
Yeah. Well, if you go and YouTube this, which I think you should to visualize what we're saying, I saw this and I don't think the referee should have blown the whistle. And I think everything should have stood, because if you watch a video, Neymar is trying to ping a ball cross field and it hits the referee and it goes backwards almost towards Neymar. In no way does it start a promising attack. Now, it happens to fall right to the feet of one of the Brazilian players who's facing his own goal, and he does a nice little turn and plays a forward ball. That's like a few seconds after the ball has hit the ref. So by that point, it's a completely different phase of play. They started a new attack. It has nothing to do with the ball bouncing to the referee. It literally almost bounced right back to Neymar as if nothing had happened. And then he played one ball, which led to a cross, which led to the goal. So I don't think it should have been whistled dead. I think the goal should stand, which it did. But I could see why Colombia stopped, because the rules enforced differently in different places. Some places, it hits you on an attack, no matter where it is on the field. They could be just inside their own half. The ref will blow it dead, even if the attack really hasn't developed yet. And then in yesterday, or this was a few days ago, in the Brazil game, the ref didn't blow. And I don't think he should have.
Samuel, do you have any? I know you said did you see this at all? Or do you have anything before we let James
No,
go
I
on
was
his...
about to look up the highlight, but too late.
It's okay.
No, I didn't see it. I saw the bicycle kick though.
That
pretty
was
cool.
good.
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that one.
And Colombia now is actually out of games. That was their last game. So they're
Ooh.
in right now, and I think they'll probably be okay unless Venezuela beats Peru and Ecuador beats Brazil. There's some permutation. We're done with permutations for another 4 years. James, tell me why Colombia.
Look, Samuel said it earlier. You can't stop. If there's no whistle, why are you stopping? Christian, you said that the rule is different in different places. Well, the rule about stopping when the whistle's blown, that's the same everywhere. You don't stop until you hear the whistle blown. You're shooting yourself in the foot if you stop when you think a foul has been committed, you think something should be stopped. That's a one-way ticket to losing a game, which is what Colombia did. I think Colombia should not feel bad for themselves. They should feel ashamed that they let this lead slip. If they were so talented and so much better than Brazil, they deserve to win. And a refereeing call stopped them, then I think they probably should have scored more than one goal. That probably would have been a good idea if they're so talented. Obviously, the idea that you should stop it if it contributes to an attack is obviously ridiculous, because an attack can start at any time, at any place, at any part of the field. So if that's the standard, then you always need to blow, because it could always start an attack.
Well, that's what's in the law. Apparently, I mean,
Well,
according to Dr. Joe.
Like most of the laws that FIFA has are kind of stupid if you think about them for more than 5 seconds, which they clearly don't, because they don't care, because someone's lining their pockets with cash. So we're getting off track here. The point is that Colombia, stick it. Deal with it.
Here's Colombia's
you have to win
issue.
the game. You have to win the game.
I would feel more. I mean, Colombia lost to Peru. Okay, so that was their chance. They blew that, and Brazil's better than them, and they had a chance to get a point, and they lost it.
Yeah, why are you relying on a game against Brazil to put you through? Something's wrong there.
Well, if you don't beat Peru,
games.
that's what happens.
There were other games.
So tomorrow, Brazil plays Ecuador, and Peru plays Venezuela at 2 p.m. I think they're actually at the same time because of the last games of the group. I believe that's how they're doing it. So, yeah, if you have any other questions or just want to ask a question that even if you know the answer, will just infuriate James and lead to a good rant, we'll take that as well.
Rant? I don't know what you mean. Perfectly
This
calm.
wasn't
Hot
wa-
take. Hot take.
hot take.
Hot take.
A
Columbia should be better.
lukewarm-
Is that what-
A lukewarm take of Columbia stick it. So that's all we have for today. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll see if our guests will join us tomorrow. Depends on, they're very busy people.
Who?
Samuel, you.
Oh, these guys.
No, Boone. Boone will be back
Ah,
tomorrow
Boone.
in Samuel's place. Perfect timing.
Right
here. Yeah, Sam, he's gonna be on tomorrow, not you.
Good.
Okay?
It's better. It's better entertainment than me.
It looks like he has a lot to say.
He does.
Yeah. Boone. Pamonista. I speak Armenian with him.
Good.
He's a bilingual cat.
We'll have him on. We'll have him on for the qualifiers in September.
Do you
In
want to do
Armenia.
predictions?
I mean,
How?
Him
Do you have
or
the
you?
Like
thing
I
set
can
up?
put like two things in front of him. One side will be
Yes.
a team. The other side will be a team.
Send us that
that's a
video.
good-
I wish I
Post
had
that on
James's
YouTube.
flag.
no,
though.
no. What we'll do is if we can have Sam back, that'll be part of the next show. Well,
Ooh,
I'll
now
get.
I have
I'll,
to
Wow.
be back.
Do we have the quality to do that? To pull that
I
off?
think we do.
Okay.
I'll send you the. Well, you know the games on Monday. It'll be the games for Monday.
I'll
This
get
is
it
the-
prepared.
Show 'em the
Get 'em-
film. Show 'em
Show
the
'em the
film.
film. Oh man. Well, there you go. There's your teaser, people, for coming back tomorrow to see Boone, Samuel's Armenian cat, make the
Ayo.
predictions for Monday's games. But
Boone Doctorian.
Boone Doctorian will be. So get your bookie on the phone ready for that. But until then, we'll be back. Thank you, Samuel, Christian, and James for joining us. And we'll be back for another podcast tomorrow.